Thank you, everyone. I'd like to just reiterate that, yes, I am a chemical engineer with over 15 years experience in the mining and manufacturing industry. I'm really passionate about inspiring girls to get into engineering. And I believe girls are, women make great engineers, and there are not enough women in here in the industry. And so I'm really passionate to break those myths, bust those barriers that make people think that engineering is not for women, that engineering is boring, that it's dirty. And I've recently created a series called Chronicles of a Female Engineer, which goes through these sort of things, talks about a day in the life. I am passionate about engineering, and I suppose plenty of people may have different tales to tell about why they're passionate about engineering. But I wanted to let you know that I almost lost it all. And I'm here to tell you that story today. I'll take you back to the 11th of the 11th in 2011. It was Remembrance Day. And boy, do I remember it. It was my boyfriend's birthday at the time, and I had planned a romantic retreat. We were living in Sydney at the time, and I had planned some horse riding, some go-karting, a cabin in the woods. And at the time I was driving, I'd hired a rental car, and the sun was shining, the music was pumping, the vibes were really good. And I was driving, and he said he had to make a pit stop. He had told a friend that he was going to collect a parcel for him, and we needed to stop and collect it. It was inconvenient, but I stopped. He felt around and he didn't have his ID on him, and he said, well, can you go get it? I thought, okay, I've got mine. So I went on in and I went to collect the package. It was strange, it took a while. The lady said there was something, there was plenty of packages in the back, can I go get a coffee? I said, yeah, sure, no worries. When I got a coffee, thought about all the things I had planned, came back in. It ended up being about 15 or so minutes for them to find the package. I signed for it and went out, and I was greeted by something very strange as I got out of that shopping center. Not only was my boyfriend not coming to collect the package for me that I'd collected on his behalf, but instead there was the undercover police officers. You see, the package that I had collected, not only was it being tracked, but it contained illegal substances, drugs. I thought, what the heck? This is strange. Like, there must be a mistake, right? I was calm, I was collected. I went over to the police station and I thought, well, if I just explain to them that this is a big, big mistake and how I got to be there, that they would clear it all up. Wrong. I didn't plead my Fifth Amendment. I didn't ask for a lawyer because, like I said, I thought I could simply let them know that this wasn't the case. Their answer was, unfortunately, this cannot be resolved at this time. You will need to see the judge. You'll need to go for a hearing. And so I spent the night in the detention center that night. My mind was cycling. I was trying to replay the scene in my mind, wonder how I got here, wondering how this would all play out, but at least it was just one night. Just one night, and it'll all be fixed in the morning. I somehow got some sleep and woke up in the morning. And being at the detention center, I'd had a remote call with the legal aid officer, the legal aid lawyer who was representing me on my behalf. She had probably 2 minutes to discuss with me what she had read from the file. And I found myself watching a small screen and seeing people having their cases discussed. And I was like, this is just surreal. And as quickly as it had begun, I heard the judge say the dreaded words, bail denied. What did you say? Bail denied. And I found myself in a paddy wagon, a police car, being ferried across to the maximum security female prison in Sydney, Australia. I was scared. I was afraid. I was embarrassed. I felt like a failure. I had failed my parents, my mum and my dad, who'd sent me to Australia for a 4-year degree in engineering. I had failed my family, who I now had to contact and talk to and tell them that I'd been caught up. I was now embroiled in a legal battle, that I had to clear my name, that I needed a lawyer. I had failed my work. What would happen with that now? And most of all, I'd failed myself. Had 7 years of engineering all been for nothing? And in fact, how would I tell people in here that I was an engineer? I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be any others in there. Who would I trust? And I went through a series of questions. I mean, for a stretch, there was no TV, there was no Christmas presents. My birthday was spent in there. There was no New Year's Eve celebrations. In fact, I had a wedding, one of my best friend's wedding in a couple of weeks, and I couldn't even send my apologies for that. And so I want to take you through, I suppose, looking in hindsight, the lessons that I learned out of that journey. And I know many of you on this call, I hope that many of you have not been to prison, that you won't find yourself in this situation. But my story is really for those of you who find yourselves in unexpected situations. Perhaps you're a mother who has done the right things, have raised your kids 10, 20, 30 years, and all of a sudden they may find themselves in jail. You may be a mother who's been trying so hard to get pregnant, and you finally do, and you get that diagnosis that changes everything. Now, I call it my 4Bs method, and the first one really is around bravely ask for help. I had to bravely ask for help a lot of the time, a lot of times through this journey. And the first was when I had to make the call to my brother. And I'm sure there was nowhere to hide, because when he answered that call, he heard, "You are receiving a collect call from Silverwater Prison. Do you accept?" So there's nowhere to hide. I had to tell him that, look, I have found myself here and I need to get out. I had to ask for help. I had to ask for help to create money where there was no money, to make bail money, and to continue to fight the legal fees thereafter. I had to ask for help from my friends, family, colleagues, to write character references, to help demonstrate that it was out of character. And I had to ask for help when I called work. I told them that I was in a legal battle, that I was working to clear my name, that it was a big mistake. And they said 3 words that changed everything. They said, "You're still welcome." And that was something I needed to hear. You're still welcome. I know we've probably all felt the fear of failure, the fear of not being loved, the fear of not being worthy, the fear of not belonging. But when I heard those words, you're still welcome, I held on to them. And I decided that I was going to give everything back to the community, to the industry that kept me going, that made it possible for me to make a way, to clear my name, to go back to work. And there's a few other things that kept me going in there. Writing letters to my friends, my family. My sister used to tell me what was happening in the Real Housewives of Atlanta and Keeping Up with Kardashians. I would go to chapel on a Friday, and there was a verse that kept me going. For those of you who read the Bible, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future. And I believed that I had a hope, that I had a future, and that I was going to get out of there and it was going to be okay. The second step is to break through your barriers. I had physical barriers at the time, but many of us have mental barriers that keep us stuck. Perhaps you have a job that you hate. Perhaps you have a marriage that has seen better days. It's possible to view that situation through a positive lens. I like to look at the glass half full versus half empty, and to find something to be grateful for. You see, had that been in a Zimbabwean prison, which is where I'm originally from, things could have been a whole lot different. I even cringe now when I think of the stale food, the rats or the squalor, or the conditions that it could have been. The thin blankets. So I was grateful. I was grateful to have access to an Australian prison. The third one is to bolster your strengths. What can you be grateful for? I got a job when I was in prison. I like to think of it as I was working for Qantas, but I wasn't really. I had to grab a full garbage bag full of headsets, the headsets you use on the airlines to listen to music, watch a movie. And I had to untangle the cords, remove the used earmuffs, place a fresh earmuff onto it, and place a UNICEF pamphlet into that plastic bag with the headset and seal it closed. 10 of those headsets would make, I think, 10 or 20 cents. It wasn't much, but I felt resourceful. It made me feel like I was giving back. I was making a difference. I was contributing in a way. And I really want you to be able to clarify your strengths. What can you do? What is working well in your life? What are you passionate about? What can you dedicate your life to that brings you joy? I have now started to use the last B, which is build your brand. And it's about going on a journey, documenting your journey, journaling, celebrating what's working, looking back on what hasn't worked well. Because I believe that life doesn't really happen to us. Life happens for us. And so when I'm able to now inspire girls to get into engineering and empower those of us who are here to stay, I look back and I know that I almost lost it all. But I know that I am welcome. I want others to feel welcome. And I want you to know today, if you leave without anything else, that your past doesn't determine your future. You can rewrite your story even today. Surround yourself with people that will empower you, that will cheer you on, that will help you make your dreams come true. Because I believe that without a setback, there cannot be a comeback. Thank you.